closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey guys, welcome again to another episode of the Mr. D podcast. Today, I'm excited to bring with us to our show Maxwell Stroup. So he's actually the founder and CEO of Ledger Frameworks LLC. It's actually a virtual bookkeeping firm based right here in Central Florida. So he established it in 2022, and the Ledger Framework specializes in QuickBooks Online services, offering tailored financial solutions to clients across various industries, including real estate and commercial services. Maxwell's journey into bookkeeping was actually inspired by personal financial challenges, which I think is cool now that we're going to dive in more into that and find out what those challenges were. And after facing significant credit card debt, he turned to bookkeeping as a tool to regain control over his finances. This experience has not only helped him become debt-free, but also fueled his passion for assisting other business owners in achieving financial clarity and stability. Today, as a member of the Digital Book Company Association, Maxwell actually continues to leverage his expertise to help clients make informed financial decisions. So, Maxwell, thank you for the show. Thank you for coming on the show. I can't even talk nowadays.
No, that's all right. Thank you for having me, Omar. It's great to be here.
Oh, man, that's awesome. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and definitely, I think one of the things that I love so far about your story is how you just said, hey, you know what? I went through those financial challenges, which a lot of us do. 100% a lot of us do. And not that many pick up from it, not that many learn from it. So tell us your story on what made you say, wake up the next morning and say, God damn it, let's go. What do we need to do?
Yeah. So I guess not to go too far back, but I'm sure it was for many people, a huge pivotal point in my life was COVID, beginning of 2020. And it was actually right before COVID as well. I had my first ever international trip where I left the country, went to Europe, went to multiple European countries. And at the time I was working in restaurants at that point up to 10 years, the worst resume to have during COVID, just restaurants. And then I was also training to become a firefighter because it was just like my only way I can think of to get out of the restaurant industry. And towards the end of 2019, like I said, I went to Europe and it was amazing. It was like, holy cow, the world is so big. This is great. And it really got me thinking like, am I doing what I really want to do right now? Where am I going in life? Am I happy? All those like big world, you're so small, world so big questions. And one of those thoughts that kind of transformed into this, do I really want to be a firefighter? It would be so cool if I could travel more like this and just open up my laptop and start making money. I didn't even have the thought of working for myself. It was just open up my laptop, make money. I was still like thinking like an employee. And I got back to America when towards the end of 2019, and throughout like January 2020, I was just like, how do I make money opening up my computer as an employee, just working from home before COVID even happened. And now everyone wants to work from home. And so I was just like looking at programming, coding, all this other kind of stuff. And it was really like, it wasn't great. And at this point I was like I said, like $20,000 of credit card debt. I could not afford that European trip, but I went anyway. And financials was always a struggle of my life. And so finally I spoke to my father one day and just like venting to him, like, I'm trying to figure out how can I work remotely? How can I like open up my computer and make money? Working hard wasn't like a problem for me. I was always going to work hard regardless of what I do, but it's just, I wanted to know that one trick, like how do I open up a laptop, make money? And that's when I felt like such an idiot. This was, like I said, like January 2020, because my dad told me like, oh, if you want, I could show you what I do. He's had his own bookkeeping business at that point for 28 years. He's worked for himself. And like I said, I felt like an idiot. The answer was like right there the whole time, but me probably just being like a guy, a son, I'm like, oh no, that's what my dad does. I can never do that. And I thought, you know what, at this anything, I'll try out this, whatever this bookkeeping thing is with QuickBooks. And after a few months of like training one-on-one with him, I applied it to my personal finances. I started a QuickBooks Online file, applied it to my personal finances, connected all my personal bank accounts and credit cards, and just started categorizing things and looked at some financial reports I could income statement or profit and loss. And for personal finances, it's way easier than business finances. And suddenly I see, whoa, okay, I've always been in this financial difficult situation, but you look at a financial report and you see the data in front of you, and it's like a light bulb goes off, and it's like there's no pointing fingers anymore. Instead of just pointing at yourself at that point, you're like, whoa, okay, I in your head, you're like, you just hook onto these arbitrary numbers. Yeah, I spend like $300 a month on groceries. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can never like back it up. And you just tell yourself in your head, like, oh yeah, this is how much I spent on this thing. And then you actually track your finances, look at the numbers, and you're like, oh, okay, I am throwing money away. That's what I'm doing. And so that really helped me turn around like my entire personal financial situation. And I think that's when I realized, you know what, like bookkeeping, this accounting stuff, it's not exciting, but I like the outcome of it. And for me, I was totally okay with, hey, I'm not jumping for joy, but I could see like in the future the opportunity if I could help other people collect, organize, and report their finances. And I still even wasn't thinking about having my own business at this point. I was just going to try to help out my dad. And over the years, that like fast forward, like from that point to 2 years later, my credit card debt is wiped away. I use some Dave Ramsey hacks too, like you just keep your credit cards at home. But 2 years later, I'm learning everything I can from my dad. I'm YouTube. I bought a lot of online bookkeeping school courses as well. And I even went back to school and just everything I could. I just consumed everything that was QuickBooks Online and accounting. And at this point, it was like January 2022. And at that time, my dad's health actually started declining. And it was scary. He's totally fine now. He's actually healthier than ever before. But yeah, his health like took a pretty major dip in January 2022. And at the time, he had 9, maybe 10 clients of like just monthly bookkeeping clients. Nothing crazy. He did a lot of like project work and stuff like that. And these clients needed their books done. And my dad was like out of commission for a few months. So someone had to step in and do the bookkeeping for these clients. And so that's where I said, hey, you know what? I'll jump in. At this point, I wasn't even getting paid. It's just all working like my day job and then studying at nighttime. And this was like my moment where I just had to take the plunge and step up to the plate and say, hey, I don't want my dad's name to be like discredited or anything. I want to help out these clients because they're his clients. So I stepped in, started doing their bookkeeping. It was scary, but I did it anyway because my dad needed it. And after a few months later, his health like started coming back up and he felt he was healthy again. But he realized I don't mind. You can take these monthly bookkeeping clients, like he prefers project work anyway. And I was just happy to like, oh my God, it's happening. This is like a chance where I can like work for myself now. And we were still splitting, like just me being me. I was like, I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it. We'll cut it 50-50 or something. They're your clients. I didn't work for this. I didn't earn it. I'm very hard on myself like that. But eventually it turned into like me taking over all of them and all these 10 of these clients paying me. And that was like towards the beginning of January 2022. And at that point I was like, hey, I got to get an entity. Started Ledger Frameworks LLC, spent way too much time trying to figure out the name and the logo and the website. And yeah, that was back in January 2022. Now it's along the way, I've lost some clients, never because they were not happy. Just some clients go out of business. Some clients just don't want to be in business anymore. Some clients sell their businesses. So many things can happen. Lost some clients, got some clients, but I currently have 23 clients as of June 20th, 2025. And business is doing well. Business is growing. And like I said, I'm happy to be in the position I am. And it all started with that Europe trip back in 2019 of it'd be really cool if I can work remotely, and turned into me doing the bookkeeping for 23 businesses.
Dude, that's awesome. First off, I'm glad your dad has turned around his health. So I'm sure out of all of this, I'm sure that's probably what you're most proud of, is still to see your old man there with you and watch you thrive as you took it from 9 to 23, which is absolutely amazing. And I applaud you. Awesome. Great job. I love that. Love your story, how you just said a light bulb, need to do something. And you know what? And you structured it the way that you wanted to do it. And I absolutely love that. So let me ask now, everyone knows that starting and growing a business is by far probably one of the hardest things to do. What challenges did you face when launching the virtual bookkeeping firm?
So honestly, the biggest challenge that still persists to a degree even today is just imposter syndrome. It's just who am I to manage? I'm thinking in terms of, I guess, my own situation or my own pockets, but who am I to do the bookkeeping, especially when I started? Who am I to organize the finances for some of these businesses that are doing over $1 million a year or like more? It's like, who am I to do that? So just being critical on yourself, imposter syndrome, as well as a lot of other things like managing your time as a business owner. I just remember I almost celebrated too early, and I was just buying. I almost slipped back and, oh, I work for myself. I'm gonna behave like I thought what a business owner would behave like, where I'm always eating out or doing all this kind of stuff. When in reality, I should have just been working harder. I should have just recognized, like, I'm just at the start line right now. This is not it. I need to put my head down and focus and spend all that time working. So yeah, definitely the time management and imposter syndrome for sure. Those are like huge challenges.
It's funny, you hit two really big points. Number one, the imposter syndrome. And it comes back. I remember when I first started in real estate and I was doing like small transactions and then they kept on going up, going up, going up. And I'm like, how the hell can I handle $1 million transactions or even buying land and doing whatever it is with these clients? And then my mentor said, the steps are exactly the same. It was nothing changes throughout that routine. You still have to you still have to do certain things in the contract. You still have to follow everything, all the rules, all the laws. Nothing really changes. Only thing that changes is just the depth of the business itself, like how much more it's going to be and how much more money you make. But at the end of the day, it's all about, and I love how he said this, it's all about customer service and attention to detail. And that's all that we really want when people are looking for businesses. And let me know if you agree with me, but everyone's looking for that. Everyone knows that you have more than one client, but at the end of the day they want to be treated like they are the only client that you have, right?
No, yeah, 100% agree with that. And I feel like that's just the right way to go about anything, especially in a business serving clients. Is maybe I got this from front of house training for restaurants, but just treat them like gold. Customer service, the attention to detail, just make them feel great. And a lot of that goes back to the attention to detail, communication, response time. Never take a client for granted. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
One, yeah. And I love how you said celebrate too early. I think real estate agents are probably the worst for this. And some of them will go out, yeah, I got somebody under contract, but it's 30 to 60 days away, sometimes longer if it's a commercial deal. They're like, yeah. And then they go out and start celebrating and dropping by Rolexes or go out for a very fancy dinner. And then all of a sudden, oh, it just blew apart. And you just ended up spending all that money. So I think it's funny how you said that, how celebrating too early, because I think that's one out of all the books that I read and a lot of the help and a lot of the courses that I take and for training. I think the real estate industry is probably the worst one for that because they feel as if that commission already hit their bank account, but in reality, no, it has not.
Yeah, no, I imagine, especially for bookkeeping, we have something similar, but real estate, maybe you sell a home and you got the big payday coming. But like you said, like it could be 30, 60 days away. With a lot of bookkeepers, we have something called a cleanup. So it's, hey, I haven't done my bookkeeping in a year or 2 years. It's like, what would you pay someone to do a year's worth of bookkeeping or 2 years worth of bookkeeping in 2 weeks? A lot of money. So that could be like a lot of thousands of dollars. The biggest cleanup I've ever had was $18,000 for 7 years in 2 weeks. And a lot of the times I've had a sales call, go over any objections they might have and just listen to them, help them understand how my service will change them for the better. And it's gotten all the way up to the point where they said yes, they have agreed with everything, the decision maker, the business owner, and all that's left is they emailed me like, all right, I'm going to sign your letter of engagement later today. So I'm celebrating. It's great. It's another cleanup and then a recurring monthly client after that. And then falls through the cracks for, and so it's just, I totally get that. It's frustrating. I didn't even think of it from that regard. I was celebrating it too early in my head of, oh, I've made it, like W-2 to self-employed. I've made it, but they're celebrating too early like that. And then even if you're self-employed, there's always celebrating too early with all those future potential prospects and sales for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny. So my wife hates, she asks me the same question all the time, and I answer it exactly the same every damn time. Oh, what do you think the odds are of them closing 50-50? And she goes, I hate you. I'm like, it is because it is 50-50. At the end of the, I've had literally deals blow up at the signing table. So
Cool.
to me, everything is always 50-50 until it's inked and they stamped it and then those papers are out of our faces, then it's a done deal. But she hates when I say that. She goes, "Why do you always say that?" Because it's the truth. It is
Hmm.
50-50 that transaction all the way through. And even I'm sure like when you send out that letter of engagement, okay, hey, what are the odds? 50-50 because they haven't paid me anything yet. They haven't signed anything yet. So yeah, it's 50-50 right now. Yeah, it is what it is. And she hates when she yells at me all the time. I'm like, don't ask me the question then, because I'm going to tell you the same answer no matter what, all the time.
Yeah, it's not like you like saying the answer, it's just the
No,
truth.
100%. I wish I could say 100% it's going to happen. No, I'm
Exactly.
never going to say that because I've been doing it long enough. So now that you're going through this, what tools and technology are helping you streamline your operations and your client services? Or do you have anything that's helping you streamline your operations and your client services right now?
Yeah, so the core software I use is QuickBooks Online, and they have a lot of internal features that really help me deliver bookkeeping. But then on top of that, actual operations for any business owners listening out there, just documenting your SOPs. You don't have to make a whole operations manual of this is how my business runs step by step, but just little tasks here and there at a time of where problems are of like, oh, this thing's taking up so much of my time. If you can just document the process, make a video recording, and then you can like offboard that or delegate that to someone else, like an employee or 1099, that's huge. And so to capture all those documented processes, I use software specific to accounting. It's called keeper.app, but you could use Asana, stuff like that, or even like Google Docs. I have an operations manual in Google Docs with checkboxes, and it's like kind of start to finish. This is not a client to a paying client, tax year end, tax closing checklist stuff. Like just having a checklist and just keeping it in some type of software. There's Google Docs, which I use, and then that Keeper.app. And then some ChatGPT, that's an easy one. And I think everyone uses ChatGPT for the most part the same way. It's, did I really write this well? Can I simplify this? It's always a great thing to improve with it, add everything and just improve like your communication. But overall, those are like the big ones for sure. QuickBooks, Keeper.app. I should be using Asana, but right now it's Google Docs as well. But those are definitely the big ones for sure.
Okay, love that. So right now, one of the things, and I don't know if you ever heard of it, Loom, Loom. So
I completely forgot. I actually use Loom all the time too. I use
there
so
you go.
much software. I was trying to think like top five, but I use so much and the key ones. But yeah, Loom. I love sending. Honestly, that's a great one because you can hyperlink it. I even had like folder libraries within my Loom of pre-recorded recordings of hey screen shares. Hey, this is how you give me view only access to your Chase account or your Wells Fargo account or TD or whatever. Like I got 10 bank accounts in there, or it's like maybe I'm trying to send a large email to a client. It's almost like eating food. If it looks like a lot, they're not going to read it. No one wants
Mm.
to read that. But if it's just a single link or a video thumbnail and you just click on it, they'll watch a 5 minute, 10-minute video like nothing.
Yeah,
100%.
100%. Yeah. And we use that a lot because we're always training. And I'm like, you know what? And I'm sitting there, I was talking to my coach and he's like, wait, so every single time you sit with people? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what are you doing? No. He goes, start recording your process. He goes, you have to be like McDonald's. You have to have everything perfect. Just have everything recorded in your systems and everything's always the same. And then on top of that, when you do have that training with that person, instead of training them 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever it may be, now you shorten it, you just give them cliff notes, and then they watch the Loom, and then they have it there forever. I'm like, that's a very good point. Smart man. So yeah, so we started doing that big time, and I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, so this is what I need to know. The common misconceptions about profit versus cash flow. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I think cash flow is literally just money going actual cash, not debt or anything like that or credit card stuff, but like in your checking account, did cash go in the bank or out the bank? Doesn't matter if it's an expense or what the transaction was for. It's just cash going in, cash coming out. And I think a lot of people misconstrued that cash flow with profit. And in the accounting world, there's a lot of accounting jargon, but essentially all profit is, specifically net profit, is your revenue minus your expenses. And I think a lot of people are like, okay, cool, that's it. But I'm actually looking at a graphic that I spent way too much time making in Canva right now to really explain this concept. But you have revenue minus expenses. That gives you your net profit. Great. But the story's not over. Your bank account is all the way down here. You still have to pay for assets, liabilities, or equity as well. So assets, maybe you did a security deposit on a new office space, or you bought some inventory, or you did a down payment on a new vehicle or a piece of equipment. That's not an expense, something you can just expense right away. That's an asset. It's going to help you make money or pay bills in the future. And then there's liabilities. You're paying off creditors or bank loans or money that you owe to other people. You're able to expense the interest of a loan payment. Say you $1,000 goes out of your bank account, cash flow, that's $1,000 leaving. But expense wise, maybe like $70 is actually interest expense. The rest is going towards liabilities. So it's asset, liabilities, and finally equity. Are you just making a lot of profit and there's nothing in your business bank account because you're gutting it and transferring all that money to your personal bank account as an owner draw or distribution? That's like super common. Or a lot of commingling. People will swipe their cards for clearly not business related transactions, and that gets pointed towards equity because it's like paying yourself in a roundabout way from the business. So you got your revenue minus expenses, you got your profit, but then you got assets, liabilities, and equity. And finally, at the bottom, that's your cash flow. And you can just monitor your actual bank checking account. And if it went up, it's positive cash flow. If it went down, it's negative cash flow. So hopefully that was easy enough. But
No, if not, we will have your Canva drawing should be out soon, hopefully. If any, so help our listeners learn. Question: when it comes to credit cards, should you have one or two credit cards for business and then one or two credit cards for personal? That's question number one. And then to follow up with that question is, then let's say you have someone like myself who's a real estate agent that gets paid whenever they get paid, whenever they close a deal. So then when it comes to the payment, should then that real estate agent or someone who's on a 1099, then okay, then you grab a percentage of that check and you pay yourself X amount. Let's say you pay yourself 30% of $1,000 and you put that in your personal check account, and then all the rest goes into your business cash flow account.
sure. Yeah. Starting with the first question, number of credit cards for business and personal. It's an arbitrary number. I guess it really depends on your business model and how frequently does it actually receive cash. In your example, real estate, there might be some months where there's no money going in. It's like kind of a feast or famine, or then there's months where a lot of money comes in. So with that being said, you still have expenses that need to be paid during those months that you're not making any money. So feast or famine style businesses like that, I think it would be great to have some like more credit cards, more line of credits, more other people's money that you can deploy and pay for these overhead expenses or loan payments that need to be paid regardless of whether or not you're making any revenue. On the personal side, I guess it's really up to, I have a lot of credit cards for my personal, no debt, but I also play the credit card travel point game stuff. I like to travel for free. So yeah, number of credit cards at the end of the day, it really depends on, do you experience slow seasons where you don't have a lot of cash coming in? If you do, you should probably have more credit cards or lines of credit if possible, just to get you through those slow seasons. And then the second part is, if you do receive a ton of money, how is that kind of divvied up and delegated? First things first, which is also in this kind of Canva thing, I created 3 pages. I try to simplify it so much, but if it's a bunch of money coming in and it's business related, all of that should be deposited into your business operating account or just one of your business checking accounts. Instead of, if you're like at the deal table or something, like, yeah, you can wire 30 grand towards my personal and then the rest towards my business bank account. I wouldn't suggest that because there's no way to really know. There's no transaction that can be tracked on the accounting side. Like maybe 30,000 is deposited to your personal bank accounts, 170,000 is deposited to your business checking account. On the QuickBooks side, I would just see $170,000 deposited, and I wouldn't see anywhere like that 30,000. So all business deposits, as long as they're deposited into a business bank account that's connected to your accounting software like QuickBooks Online, always deposit in the business account. And then from there, pay off all those debts that you needed to use to get you through those dry spells. And then what's left over, you can divvy up. If you made a profit, like I recommend transferring like 20% into a tax savings account. Transfer however much you need to pay yourself for your personal budgeted expenses, and anything left over, you can reinvest in your business in a savings account or something like that.
Okay, love that. All right, so now I'm going to start getting some questions like when it comes to somebody who's maybe thinking about starting a business, but wants to get in the position first before they hire somebody like you to understand their money first and understand and respect money and understand the cash flow, debt, etc. Now, what's an easy way that someone like any of my listeners can actually start managing their cash better as of today? Could it be something as simple as, all right, something as signing up as QuickBooks? And now, mind you, I remember when I started one of my first businesses and I looked at QuickBooks and I'm like, oh my God, this is like Russian. What the hell is this? I'm like, no, I'm out. And I was like, I don't understand any of this. Well, what are some systems? What are some things that they can do that they can start learning how to manage their cash better today before they need to reach out to someone like you when it's okay, you know what? Now it's time to get a professional involved because this is becoming too much.
Sure. So the first thought I have in my head is actually something I've been doing my whole life. Despite me not being great at money, I've also never missed any rent payments or bills. Like I would never be that kind of person. And I was able to manage my cash and paying all these bills on time and in full because I had multiple bank accounts. This is very similar if anyone listening has ever read Profit First, which it's a good book, but it basically utilizes multiple checking accounts, and each checking account has a specific job. So for me in the past, I had a specific checking account just for rent. And I knew like, all right, I get paid twice a month. Rent's whatever it was at the time, $500. That's like nothing. Um,
$2.
yeah. So my first paycheck came in. I knew that, all right, 250 bucks goes into this checking account. I can't touch it because that's rent. And then the rest discretionary, I could spend wherever. And then the second paycheck came in, again, 250 bucks right into this checking account that was just for rent. And then it works like magic every time because you can see, like, you look at all your checking accounts, like, oh yeah, look, my rent account has 500 bucks. My rent's 500 bucks. Here's rent. So the same applies to business, opening up multiple checking accounts that all have a specific job. And I like to at least have three checking accounts. One is operating. This is going to receive all your business deposits, and then it'll pay for the majority of your business bills. And then you have two other accounts, a general savings account, 3 to 6 month overhead expenses, generic business expenses, payroll, all that stuff. And then the second or the third one is a tax savings account. And that one is you'd have to have some form of bookkeeping with this account because you really want to know your actual profit, which again is what's my revenue minus expenses. Okay, cool. I made $10,000 of profit last month. Great. I recommend, I'm not a tax expert. Talk to your tax expert about what percentage you should be doing. But I say transfer 20% of your profit into this tax savings account. And there is no more surprise tax bill. It's like there's no more wincing. It's, oh, wait, no, I have all this money in my tax savings account. It's for taxes. And that just gives you like such a peace of mind. But really just managing your cash, I love having multiple checking accounts. And I said three: operating savings, tax savings, but you can really open up a checking account for any type of bill that feels out of control. Maybe I had a client that had a $12,000 SBA loan payment every single month. It's a lot. And so every time they received money, they would transfer like a portion of that SBA loan payment throughout the weeks. And they just know at a glance, there's no, how do I read a P&L? How do I read a balance sheet? How do I read these financial reports? It's just, oh, I just got to log into my bank account, see how much money I have, because I know this bill is due in 5 days. Do I have enough money? Great. I don't have enough money. Let me move some around. Great. At its core, just opening up multiple checking accounts with specific, like holding accounts for specific jobs. And that's been like the biggest thing, really, the simplest way and most effective way to actually manage your cash.
Love that. Is there any tool, like a real-time tool for financial tracking that maybe you recommend that we either have on our phone or on our laptops?
So for business, obviously I'm biased. I've worked with QuickBooks Online for 5.5 years now plus. So business QuickBooks Online, I think is the best, and it can scale with all its features that it offers. It can scale with your business no matter like how big it gets. Personal finances, Rocket Money, that's a great one for budgeting. I can vouch for Rocket Money. That's great. Honestly, you can stop there for personal finances and you're going to have an easy time managing your budget and everything. But I use Monarch Money, which, so you still have the easy user interface. So you can connect your accounts and categorize your transactions easily and have little emojis so you can see like if things are categorized more easily at a glance. And then it offers a forecast option. And I'm a psychopath and I have the next 10 years of my personal finances forecasted. And so that's a great one for personal. But yeah, for the business side, QuickBooks Online, for sure. You can get the simple start. It does depend on your business model and like the complexity of the bookkeeping. And like you said, even to this day, like it's tough. Don't just assume, don't fall for QuickBooks Online like their marketing where it's, oh, you can do it yourself. You don't have to be a bookkeeper. Anyone can do it. You don't even know, you don't need to know accounting. You don't need all this stuff. QuickBooks does a great job, but it's still just like information overload. So if you're a really small business, stick to like Google Sheets if you want and just consistent. That's the key there. Just be consistent on like log into all your bank accounts. What did you spend money on? Where did you like money come from? And just try to be detailed in that sense. And there's so many great YouTube tutorials out there on how to do both, trying to do your bookkeeping when you start out in spreadsheets and then trying to do bookkeeping in QuickBooks Online for sure.
I love that, man. I love that. All right. So before we end, I got one final question for you. Okay.
Sure.
It's going to be a doozy. Get ready for it.
Oh no.
Now, if you could just leave us with one deed, okay, just leave us with one deed behind, just one action, mindset, or even a lesson for every either real estate professional or even any entrepreneur listening today, what would that be?
Honestly, taking some time with no distractions, no computers, no phones, no nothing like that, and sitting alone in silence with yourself and really try to figure out. I did this for hours when I started my business coaching, but really try to figure out like what do I want 5 years, whatever, 1 year down the road, what do I actually want? And what steps can I take to start getting there? And how can I just attack those steps with thousands of repetitions? So it's like unreasonable for me not to get to that where I want to be. That would really be my biggest piece of advice or deed to anyone starting out or just in business in general is do a lot of work to do a lot of repetitions towards the things that you know you should be doing to get where you want to be.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. That was perfect right there. That was awesome. Bravo. Good job. Well, guys, listen, I wanted to thank everyone so much for tuning in today. And I know I did. I got a lot of great nuggets from Maxwell. I hope you did as well. And obviously, what we're going to do is right below, you're going to have all of Maxwell's contact details. So if you're a business right now and you're looking maybe to get more organized, definitely make sure you reach out to Maxwell as he will be helping you. Make sure you get everything done and that you're paying your bills on time. Most important, and understand where if you're actually profitable. That's another thing as well. And of course, detect where the holes might be in your business to where, you know what, you're probably paying for something you don't need or you're paying too much for it. Definitely love it. Make sure you guys reach out to Maxwell. Guys, before we leave, one thing I just want to go ahead and sign off. Listen, actions build empires. Stay focused, stay hungry, and give life a whammo. I'm Omar Andreasen. Thanks for tuning in to Mr. Deeds. Thank you guys so much. Have a blessed day. This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.